Alright, just wanted to do a quick video here just showing you guys how to assemble the MR2 K-swap shifter. So I'm assuming starting here that you've taken the shifter out of the vehicle and it's kind of good to go. So important things to note, things you'll want to keep when you do remove it from the vehicle. There's a clip that is basically a retainer here, and there is also a plastic bushing that slides on this arm. So let me pull this off here and show you. So here's the clip, and here is the plastic piece. So those are important pieces that you'll need, and then obviously you'll have your kit coming from me here. So I'm gonna move this out of the way for a second because the first thing I want to do is actually do some quick disassembly because we don't need all of this. There's just a couple key components that you'll actually need to keep. So push this out of the way for a second. We'll come back in frame in just a moment. So first thing you're gonna want to do, take your 12mm and you're gonna want to remove the 4 bolts that essentially hold this assembly. But before that, obviously you'll want to take your shift knob off because the shift knob will not go back through the hole. So shift knob off, take your 12. You'll first start off by just going on the bottom here and you'll just remove these. These have a captured welded nut on the other side, so not a big deal. So take off this. So don't lose these, you will need them. So we'll start by keeping those two there just a little bit out of the way. Now next thing we want to do is we're actually going to take the next 2 off here. This has a washer, hot washer, same kind of idea. And then once you've got this, again, just leave these all together. Again, we'll take this bolt, don't lose it, just put it back here. And now you've got all of these removed and you're almost ready to go. So from here, it's a little bit tricky. What you'll want to do is take this and you'll want to slide it down. But in order to slide it down, you need to kind of turn it a little bit to get it past this area. And then you'll slide this through here. And you need the rest of the assembly. In our case here, you may not always have this, but there is this retaining washer here, and in order to retain this, basically the locking ring, this will go down further. So you may or may not have it, but if you do, make sure you hold on to it. If you don't, still will work just fine. Again, just setting these here. So again, you remember you'll need obviously the stock clip, you'll need the bushing, you'll need these 4 bolts, obviously you'll need this assembly. Now I'm going to go ahead and unbox it here. So first thing you'll have to do obviously is you'll cut this. Obviously I've already cut this, so no need to worry about that. So go ahead and unbox it. So it's generously packaged prior to shipping. So one of the first things you'll see is the shift arm. You can just leave it in the bag. We'll need that a little bit later. You'll see your hardware, and then you'll actually see the shifter bracket itself. So we'll go ahead and we'll remove this. And there should be a business card in here as well. In case you need to get in touch with me, there's my email. Best way to reach me is via email. And if not, just feel free to message me on Facebook, Instagram. I'll do my best to respond back. So need all that stuff. I'm gonna just close the box up here because we don't need anything else out of the box. I just want to make sure that you all see how the box comes and how to expect it when you unbox it. And if you're missing anything, reach out. But I did just pack all these, so they should all be good to go. So first thing we're going to do, we're just going to remove the shifter arm once we've unboxed. And what we want to do is make sure and see whether our bushing actually fits through here. Now it may not fit when you try to put it in, so what I recommend, generally speaking, just grab a drill bit that basically just kind of fits in there. You'll remove a little bit of material. So if you see, I'm just removing a little bit of the powder coat, and then this will pretty much just slide right in once you do that. So again, looks like I need to remove just a little bit more. And again, you don't have to have a drill bit to do this. I just like it because generally people have them. They're easy to do. You can use some sandpaper, but you'll just take off a little bit of the powder coat, and then again, you'll see that slides right in there. So that's ready to go. So we'll set this aside now that that's ready to go. And what we'll want to do as a first step is we actually want to remove this lock nut that's on here. And the reason that we need to remove this lock nut is because in order to attach the shifter arm, because I want to avoid these getting scratched in shipping, you'll need to remove this lock nut. So in order to remove the lock nut, grab a 13mm and you'll just loosen the lock nut. Once you loosen it a little bit, you should be able to just get it by hand. And then this will fall off here. Make sure not to lose anything. So in order to maintain the order, you've got your lock nut, you've got your washer, you've got that assembly, you've got a larger washer that's under there, and then you have this. Now, shouldn't need to remove that at all. The main reason why we remove this again is so that we can attach our shifter arm. So you'll need a 2mm hex, 3mm hex, sorry. I just happen to have it on a screw gun, just to make this go a little bit quicker. So I'm just going to go ahead and loosen this up here, grab my shifter arm, and again, we'll want to make sure we're orienting this in the right direction. So not a big deal if you don't do it. It does rotate around. You do have enough rotation that you'll be able to get it back on. But basically, from there, just go back around, get it as tight as you like. I highly recommend the usage of red Loctite, blue Loctite, just something to keep it from vibrating. Otherwise, if you're more than welcome to, if you'd like to, you can get a longer, basically it's an M5 bolt, and just use a nylock on the other side. It's completely up to you, but I haven't had any issues with them in this orientation. So again, take this, and just remember, you've got your, basically this is a Delray washer here, just for lubrication. You want to take your large washer here, and you're going to want to make sure that you put it back under the underside, and then you'll take this whole assembly, and you'll lock that basically back in place. Washer goes back on top, and then you've got your nylon lock nut that will go back on there. And then what you'll want to do is tighten it basically fully tight until it stops moving. So I'll go ahead and I'll tighten this basically fully tight until it stops moving, and you'll see the arm won't actually move anymore. And then what you'll want to do is basically go back about between a quarter and a half turn, and you'll want to see it just start to move. And that's just to keep tension and avoid any sort of wobble of this assembly here. Now, I'll show you basically what I mean by that wobble. So I'll over loosen this here, just so you can see exactly what I mean. You'll see that this basically starts to wobble. So we'll tighten again, tighten this all the way back down until it's too tight. And then we'll go ahead and again, between a quarter and a half turn, a little bit more, and now you see the whole assembly will move. So now that you have this basically all set and ready to go, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we're going to reinstall our original MR2 shifter assembly. And that's where these pieces of hardware come in here. So a couple of important things that you'll need for the reinstall. So I'll go ahead and I'll lay everything out just so you can kind of see it first before we go back over to the vehicle, so you can see everything that should come in your kit. You should have 4 nylon washers. You'll have 4 bolts with washers on them, so make sure you've got those. You should have 1 additional of these, but it will have a low profile nylock, and they have 2 more of those low profile nylocks, so you can set all of those aside. You can also set this nylon aside for now. We'll need it in just a moment. The 2 that I want you to focus on are these serrated M8 bolts here. And again, we will need it a little bit later when we get back to the vehicle. So again, I'm going to set these aside for now. So what we want to do is take this assembly here, and we're going to connect it up to our actual shifter itself. So we'll take this here. First thing you want to do, you'll slide the shifter assembly just like we did before, and it should slide essentially right back on there. And then you're going to take the arm and the bushing, and you're going to slide those back to their home basically positions, and I'll show you that just so you can kind of see where everything should be there. And then you can move the shifter just a little bit to get everything to line up. We want to take our factory bolts, and again, you can reuse the washer if you like, but you don't have to. And we're going to flip this over here, and what you'll notice is we need to put this back together in order to lock down shifter. So you notice there's these. So I'm going to take this, and again, like I said, you can use the washer, not necessary, but if you'd like to, you totally can. It doesn't hurt anything to reuse it. So we're going to take this, we're going to stick it back through the hole there. We're going to pull this back up here. So just got to be a little patient. We're not going to fully tighten that one yet. Same thing, grab the other one, take this one, go right through that bolt hole. And again, we're not going to fully tighten this all up yet until we've got all the hardware in exactly where we want it to. And then again, grab those two, because again, we don't have the, and I'll bring this back so you can see it, we don't have these anymore. And so to replace them instead, what I've done is I've given you these serrated locking nuts, which will work just the same. And so I prefer to actually have all of them pointing down. It doesn't matter, you can have them pointing up if you prefer, but you'll essentially take those, put your nylon serrated nut here with the built-in kind of shoulder, and you'll get those cinched down. And now, and only now, should we start to begin to tighten. So again, you'll start by grabbing your 13 millimeter again, and you'll tighten this down. And then we're going to go back to our 12, and we're going to tighten up this piece. And then we're almost done here. But you see, basically your shifter assembly is back, almost ready to go in. What we're missing right now is we're missing these two washers that you'll use here. So you'll take these two washers and you'll put them there. And then from there, you grab this clip that you had from the shifter already, push it back into place. And then once you have it back installed, you're ready to reinstall this in a vehicle. Got a box here, it's got the shifter in it, just fully assembled like in our last, where I last left you all. So in addition to making sure that you've got that, you want to make sure you've got your hardware kit so you can actually do your install. So first thing that we're going to need, so remember those two additional black washers that we had before that were made of nylon? We're going to take those, and where you want to put those is here and here. And the reason that we're doing this is because this isn't quite a flat surface, and so what we're trying to do is actually tilt the shifter assembly up ever so slightly so we can get it installed. And granted, if you'd prefer, you can put it here, but either way it doesn't matter. We're just using it to tilt this. So putting it in that orientation, then we're going to go ahead, take this, and we're going to put it on here. And again, this is all assuming you've taken your shifter out of your vehicle already. And then remember those bolts that we had that had the washers on them? So we're going to take those and we're going to install those. Now, once they're tight, that's pretty much solid where you want those to be. Now, the next thing that you'll need to do is you'll want to take the fat washer that you've got here, and what we're going to do is we're going to take the shifter, and we're going to slide it through here. We're going to take this washer, and we're going to slide it through there, and then you are going to reuse your stock shifter shim. And you're going to take this, and the washer is basically taking up the gap, and you're going to want to install that there, and just tap it in with a hammer. Doesn't need to be a heavy hammer, just needs to make sure that you get this sitting all the way flush. Alright, so we're sitting all the way flush. Then we're going to do the same thing with this. So you want to take this, slide this forward, twist this around, grab your provided shim, and you'll again want to just tap this flat. You cannot reuse your stock one, because as you can see hopefully in this video, I tried to do that and it snaps the plastic. So that's why I made this flat one here. And then basically once that's installed, that's not going anywhere. So what we'll do now is we'll actually take this and actually install the cables. So that'll be our next step here. So we need a 13 millimeter. And I've just, again, got my impact ratchet here just to save us some time. And again, so this 13 millimeter, not this one, but this one. Take this one off, slide this on here, all the way down as far as you can get it. And then we'll take this here, we'll just zip it on the rest of the way until it's tight. And then you've basically got your left-right movement there. So that's your left-right. Now, in terms of getting your forward and back, what you'll need is the last 3 remaining pieces of hardware that are in the baggie. They'll sit on your baggie. And we'll basically take this, and you will graciously want to take this and get this locked down here. So in order to do that, you will take either your 5 millimeter and hold this solid, or you'll take your other one and hold that one solid. So in my case, I'm just going to grab this with a set of pliers and tighten this side down. There. And then in order to cinch this onto here, alright, now the final little bit to do to finish this off is we'll want to get the left-right adjustment into spec. One of the things that you'll notice is, depending on how you want to drive the car, you want a little bit of adjustment in the left-right depending on how you want the gate to be. So in this case, so there's 1, 2, there's 3, 4, there's 5, 6, and then there's reverse. Right? So we've got all the gears, but one of the things that you really want to pay attention to is you'll see this is actually slightly loose. So if you take this, put an 8 millimeter on one side, and then you'll take this and you'll put this 8 millimeter on the other side, and we just want to tighten this up. And that tightening this up to remove that slot, but it's also how you adjust the left-right positioning. So let's say you want the left-right positioning to move over a little bit. You actually want to take this and make this a little bit longer. So you can see right now, this is ever so slightly longer, and you can also keep this from moving back by locking this down with not only this, which has an eye lock, not only the other one that's on the other side here, but you can take this and you can actually tighten this as well. And this is a 10 millimeter that will do that. So in our case, again, this is important because this actually prevents the arm from flexing by adding additional strength in this area. So that's why locking that down can be key and important. So in this case, again, we're just locking this down because we're happy with the length of it. We just want to remove the slot. Again, take this 8 millimeter, put it on this side, take this 8 millimeter, and you'll tighten this up right into it. And once you're happy with that positioning, again, we'll take this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then reverse, and you're good to go.